I'm really going to try to do a first take, one take with this. So today is Halloween, and that's very exciting for those people who like to actually dress up and cavort with demons and all that sort of thing. I call that Friday. But with Halloween, what I've always liked about it, and what I've always tried to do with it, is to celebrate it by watching scary movies. Because I'm a huge film fan, so that's what I think I should do to honor the spirits of Halloween. Because I don't give candy out either. Just insults if kids come to the door. So what I did here a couple days ago, not on the actual Halloween day, I had a party, invited people over, and for the day we watched horror films, and we played board games together. It was really, really fun, and there was 5 movies that I picked. I wanted to pick a huge range of films that span the years, and you can use some of these if you're trying to figure out what movie you should watch today for Halloween. So this is Kyle's picks today. And if I was creative and I had the time, it would be like a big intro and music and be like, yeah, Kyle's picks, and then flashes of light and all that great stuff. Not happening, so just imagine it. Your imagination is better. What we started off with was the original Frankenstein, directed by James Whale. This was back in 1932, I want to say, is when Frankenstein was released. Dracula and Frankenstein released the same year, Universal Monster Movie Collection. Hint drop. Name drop. Frankenstein is really, really... By the way, I'm just going to mention, too, before I get into this too much, is that I had only seen one of these films before the day. I'll tell you which one that is in a second. But Frankenstein is great, and really, when you watch it at home, most of these films aren't really scary so much, especially when you go back into the 30s. I don't think any of them are really scary so much as interesting to look at as film history goes. And what you really notice, obviously there's a lot of sets, but there's a lot of mood given to this movie. There's lots of like fog, like thick fog that they have to walk through. The grave sites look really real. The shadows, their work with shadows is so intriguing, I find, in 1930s films. Because they didn't have color to really deal with a whole lot, they really utilized black and white to its best effect. And like huge sets and like really neat ways to portray shadows and what's happening, because again, their hands were tied with how much violence they could actually show too. And then Boris Karloff as the monster, always a good pick. So nothing scary too much here in this movie, but if you just want a quick hour and 10-minute movie to get you in the mood for Halloween, Frankenstein is not a bad bet to do. Second film we did, 1958, Horror of Dracula. I really wanted to make sure I say that first word right. Horror of Dracula. This was, I believe, the first color film that had a vampire in it. And if you know anything about Hammer, the production studio Hammer, they were really, really big in the 50s. And they started back in the 30s, but in the 50s they started kind of remaking a lot of these horror films from the past and putting their own spin on them. And this is when they could get really more into the violence and gore that we kind of associated with. And this stars Christopher Lee as Dracula, he would go on to portray Dracula the most of any actor ever. I believe like 8 times, if I'm not mistaken. And there are some pretty gruesome things in here. Really, we have Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, Christopher Lee as Dracula, and there's some kind of floofy, kind of not very interesting stuff that happens kind of in the middle part of this film. But Christopher Lee is so dynamic, and Peter Cushing is so great as Van Helsing that when they finally meet up at the end for their final battle, it is awesome to watch. My favorite part is Van Helsing running across this huge dining room table and just leaping and grabbing a hold of the curtain, ripping it down so that the sunlight can come in and, spoiler alert, kill Dracula. Don't worry, he's back for the sequel. Really, really great. Really, really fun. Third film, 28 Days Later. Danny Boyle decides, I'm going to do a zombie film. And I mean, there have been tons of zombie films made up to this point. George A. Romero obviously being the big name in the zombie films. But this was the first time that fast zombies were a part of the equation, which are somewhat scarier, my opinion. I know that's not what the zombie aficionados want me to say, but I find them scarier, and even though they didn't call them zombies, they're infected. They're zombies. Crystal Eccleston of Doctor Who fame stars as this, what is it, the military leader? General, thank you. He's a general. Very, very creepy scenes in that. This is also interesting, this film, because it was one of the first films that was made digitally. Danny Boyle was actually using like mini DV cameras to film all these spots. And that's why it has this kind of like grainy, washed out look, because the technology just wasn't there to provide really high quality digital images yet. But he used what he had, and he kind of like shackled himself for no real reason but to try something new. It's really great. This is the only movie I'd seen before. Still holds up, still good, although the copy got, the sound mixing was terrible. So that's too bad. Fourth film, Woman in Black. This is Mr. Harry Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe, and it's too bad because the mood of this film, it was really, really well done, and overall I did enjoy it, although I don't think it was a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. There's some creepy scenes that happen in here. It's like an old haunted house ghost film, but I know that Daniel Radcliffe is a good actor, but you would never know it of all the films he's been in. He is really wooden in this film. It's like, he has one facial expression. Oh, and then he does shocked eyes. And in the Harry Potter films, I always felt bad because I don't think any director ever really knew how to handle him the most effectively, except for Alfonso Cuarón, who did the third film, which most people apparently hate in the Harry Potter franchise, and I consider it to be the best one that they ever did. Anyways, that's a whole conversation. Don't want to get into that. But I've seen him on Broadway. Well, I haven't seen him on Broadway. I've seen clips of him performing on Broadway, so I know that the guy can act, but you would never know it in the films that he actually releases. All right, this is dragging on. We've been talking for 6 minutes. No one's watching it at this point. Final film, something called Black Christmas. Now, this is what's referred to as the first slasher film of all time, or what's considered to be the first slasher. There's a little bit of debate on that, but we'll say, for intents and purposes, first slasher film. Sorority house, killer on the loose, but what's intriguing about this film, and again, somewhat of a spoiler alert, we never find out who the killer is. And that's what sets it apart from all the other horror films and all the other slasher films, is that you for sure know who the slasher is by the end of it. And this one, you never find out. And that makes it a little bit more scarier for me, because it's like, he's still out there. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Some pretty gruesome stuff, but I mean, all of it has been kind of copied and taken from this movie as you go along through film history. The creepiest shot for me, though, is that there's this point where this girl walks upstairs, opens the door, and we see the two dead bodies in the room, and she looks over to her left, and in the crack, you know, when you open up a door, there's the hinges, obviously, and in the crack, they zoom in, and there's the guy's eye, and you just see a light up of his eye, and he just starts laughing weirdly and creepily, and that was the creepiest thing of me for the entire night. And now I can't open doors. I've been locked in my house for the last few days because I refuse to open a door, because I am terrified that some creepy dude is going to be hiding right behind the door, ready to knife me. So I have a normal psyche, is what I'm trying to say. Horror movies. Horror movies. So you have to emphasize that word, or else it sounds like I'm being dirty. Horror movies can be fun and exciting. Scary when the lights are turned off. And I don't deal well with stabbing things. I don't know why I pick them sometimes. What are you doing for Halloween? Hopefully you're going to have a fun time. This video has gone on way too long. I thought I'd be able to do it in 4 minutes. I've done it in just over 8 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. This has been my vlog. You can leave comments down below, like, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you all again next Thursday. Can there ever be such a thing as a beautiful suicide? Well, if you follow the light, they are not the characters themselves. We realize that Daniel Craig is not James Bond. We realize